America is at risk.
Can you please explain to all of us why a patriot like you also now think that America will collapse or there will be civil war?
So the first thing I do want to go back to the point that some people might think it's controversial when I say the military is a mercenary army. Well, I think to the audience in the world, just in my example alone, how my government has totally ignored me. I mean, my story, without a doubt, is very controversial. Some people would be surprised. How is this even happening? How no one from the government has reached out to me. And this is over years and years of me petitioning them. That should answer one question. Something is going wrong in our government. We're losing it. I would say that I truly believe the collapse is going to happen for two reasons. One, I've said many times that America is a corporation, and a corporation is all about the money. Sooner or later, America, this American US dollar, is no longer going to be the world's reserve currency. And America continuing to print and print and print off money. And news to everyone, America, the government is never going to pay off that debt unless they print money like back in Germany, the Weimar Republic, where the dollar's worthless. Then maybe then they'll repay off the debts. But I believe that truly America is the Roman Empire. America is so strong that Russia is not going to destroy it, China, it's not going to be some invading force from outside. It's going to crumble from within, and it's going to be economic. Because again, what we've lost in America, and this is number two, and this is my sense, is what you need to have a strong country is a sense of patriotism that brings people together, a common bond. It could be religious, it could be ethnic, it could be historic. There has to be a bond. But really, the only bond that brings Americans together now is money. You know, that's why we have people, they immigrate, people want to live in America for the economic opportunities. But if America went through hard times, unlike we had World War I and World War II, people are not going to stay in America and fight and defend. They're going to abandon ship. So I say for two reasons. One, we've turned into just a purely an economic corporation, and sooner or later, the money's going to run out. And when hard times happen with the dollar and inflation, we are going to crumble from within. And number two, we've lost our sense of American ethos. Like, if I would ask you what's an American, I think the question would be, what is not an American? Everything and anything. Because if you think about it, the only thing corporations care about is the money. They just want to make money. So as long as money is being made in America, we're fine. But if money's not being made in America, people are going to jump off the ship like rats. No one is going to stand, and I don't blame them. I come from a family that they volunteered for every war. World War I, World War II, Vietnam, myself. I would look to the American young men in America. So here's a great example. I grew up in America where my father's generation were Vietnam veterans. And I grew up, if you dodged the draft in America and you didn't go to Vietnam, you were a coward, you were not a patriot, and you don't deserve to live in America. That was my 100% ideology. And of course, I served in the military. How did I change now that if now there was a war that America did a draft to the American men out there, I wouldn't serve in the America. And if you did not get drafted and you escaped to, say, Canada, not only do I think you're smart, I think your morality is okay. Because when you have a disloyal government, why should you be loyal to them? So again, it's going to collapse because it's going to be economic reasons. And we don't have an ethos anymore of patriotism. The government doesn't care about us, and we don't care about the government. This is not a good long-term strategy.
We are talking today with Baumblatt. the author of a book named Patriot Betrayed, and David has been forced out of the United States, and he has been continuously facing series of intimidations from the U.S. government. David, your issue actually, I was looking onto the internet, and I really didn't find much of information in the U.S. media about you and about the audios that you are facing. When United States claims to be a country of free press, freedom of expression with the Second Amendment, whatever, and now U.S. media is afraid of talking about a person like you, who is actually supposed to be a hero, not only a patriot. So what stopped American media in supporting, or let's say, in talking about a person like you?
Sure. So first of all, I want to thank you very much. You are the first media. Again, there was a Jewish American in New York. Robert Morningstar. He did reach out to me as a small radio talk show. So that was my first interview. But you are the first major, you could say, newspaper who's reached out to me. And you're right. It doesn't make sense. I'm an American citizen. Why wouldn't the American media being reached out to me first and then foreign media? So that doesn't make any sense. And of course, I should tell the viewers, my very first YouTube video, in fact, it was my very first social media that I've ever produced, was shadow banned. And I have proof if people want to go to I'm on Rumble, because again, I'm shadow banned on YouTube. I would say, to make it very simple, why isn't the American media reaching out to me? I'm an American citizen who's not welcome to come back in America. That should be a red flag. I think very simple is because the American media works for the corporations. And so this is also my problem with the FBI, is because I'm adamant that China and Russia are not the number one enemy. But if you say, like I do, and I believe it, that the number one enemy is the American corporations, and oh, by the way, the American government, meaning the FBI, this is probably not a good message that the American corporations want to hear. Maybe the American people want to hear it, but not the American corporations and the American government. This is because I am not a good example of being someone who's a patriot, who worked in the government, now to say that the number one enemy in the entire world for the American citizens is their own government and their own corporations. It's not a message that the American media wants to hear. The American people, I truly believe, want to hear it, but not the American media, because they work for the corporations.
Meaning, what do you want to say? That American media is no more free? They are controlled by those corporations. And when you say that a few minutes ago, when you say that U.S. Army has become mercenary, so can we also say American media has also become mercenaries?
Absolutely. I truly think freedom of speech is dying in America, and that is, most of the media in America is controlled by a few corporations, and it goes back to our founding fathers. I think our revolutionary forefathers, they believed that the government was the most scariest, controlling entity, but it's really these corporations, which our government works for. And so the media works for them, our government works for them, our military works for them. And I don't think, I would hope that the American people are waking up, because again, I go back to the American military, and look at me, my speech is censored. So are we going to, if we destroy Russia, if we destroy China, then I'm going to get freedom of speech? Is that who's holding back my freedom of speech? Is it Russia? Is it China? Was it the Taliban who was denying my freedom of speech? It's probably the American corporations and the American government. And again, this is a message that the American people probably want to hear, but the American corporations and the government want to censor me.
So this is, in other words, we can say that whatever is now happening in the U.S. with the government, with the president, with the media, these are all big hypocrisies. When they claim as democracy, when they claim that there is a freedom of expression, freedom of media, actually these are all big hypocrisies. Do you agree with me?
Absolutely. And this is what I would tell countries from around the world, to include Bangladesh. And don't fool yourself. America is the global superpower, and they want to remain as a global superpower forever. So remember that point one. Point number two, this global rules-based system is really the American rules-based system. The rules are in favor of America. And so number three, whatever country you are, Bangladesh, what if you even play by all the rules, you do the right thing, you do the morally right thing. However, you start becoming powerful enough where you are now competing against America. America will do whatever it takes so they remain as the world's boss and you don't. And this is the problem that the world is starting to realize, where America said, hey, we have this rules-based order. Whoever wins, wins. You know, it's all about the rules. It is the American rules-based order. And as long as America is still the world's boss, then America is willing to play the game. But if you think you're going to push America around, America will bomb you with their military. That's what the military is used for. It is used to keep other countries in place so America remains the superpower of the world. We are turning more and more into an authoritarian. I view America now as the American empire. I truly believe in the past, America was the land of the free. It was a phenomenal country. But if you study history, countries change. And the American empire is on its way to collapse. And as it gets more and more closer to collapse, it will become more tyrannical, whether domestically or foreign overseas, because they will do whatever they have to do to stay in charge, to remain in power. And so America is probably the most dangerous. In fact, I use this again. America is always afraid of nuclear weapons, nuclear weapons. We have to go back in history. America is the only country in the world to use nuclear weapons in war. Obviously, we're talking about Japan in World War II. So, you know, America is afraid of all these other countries. I would say America is probably the most dangerous country in the world. Because like I said, if you do not abide by their rules, you're going to be in a lot of pain, like myself.
So, David, you are from Chicago, and I have been to Chicago. I have been to many other places in the U.S. And what just now you say that America will even not hesitate in bombing any country if they don't listen to their dictation. So it seems like, as you are from Chicago, I'd like to say the American government, the American administration has become today's Al Capone. You know what is Al Capone?
Absolutely. I describe the FBI as the government mafia. It's a mafia in the government. And like I said, the problem with me is if you go against the FBI, and when I was an agent, I saw in the FBI itself just incompetency, corruption, immorality, and that's why I quit in 2007. But if you go up against it, and I say again, the most powerful pound for pound agency in America is the FBI. It's turning into what we call the East German Stasi, meaning it is going to get so powerful that it will continue to spy on American citizens to remain in power. And so, like I said, when America was during the good times, we'll say the 1950s, and I think we could all agree when there's a lot of money, when everything is safe, everything is good. But when America starts declining more and more and more, you are going to see more and more tyrannical measures being implemented by this government. And American citizens, you know, and I'm sure they saw a little bit during the COVID lockdowns and whatnot, they haven't seen anything yet. It's going to get extremely dangerous in America.
We are talking to Mr. David Baumblatt, the author of a book, Patriot Betrayed, and we'll be soon joining him the next session. We will discuss more about the United States, the global politics, and also about Bangladesh. So please stay tuned. We'll be back soon.